Welcome, and thank you for the introduction, Elmer. As Elmer mentioned, I'm actually a principal bridge engineer with Caltrans, and I'm also the chair of AASHTO COBS. I call it COBS because I think I'm a newer member, to T3 seismic design. Let's see. And I will be doing a general overview of the AASHTO Committee on Bridges and Structures, and then also a quick overview of AASHTO. Oh, good, it did work. Except not on mine. Okay. So AASHTO is the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials. As Elmer mentioned, it's a nonprofit organization representing highway and transportation departments in 50 states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico. And AASHTO's policy and standards development are the product of volunteer State Department personnel who work through the AASHTO committee structure. Okay, so this slide shows the overall AASHTO committee structure, and the Committee on Bridges and Structures is one of the program delivery and operations committees. So you can see the little arrow there. I'm going to show that slide a little bit bigger, and then I also wanted to point out, which I'll talk about later, is the Research and Innovation Special Committee. So at the very end, I'll come back to that. Okay, so this shows the slide a little bit bigger, so you can see bridges and structures. But then you can also see there are other committees such as materials and pavements, and we do work with these other committees like for AASHTO test methods. And then there's construction, design, so all of these may be of interest to ACI members. Okay, so this shows the, I guess, COBS organization chart. There are actually 20 technical committees with one executive committee. And the executive committee is made up of all the chairs of these technical committees. So for example, I'm the chair of T3 seismic design, so I'm also on the COBS executive committee. And then I also highlighted those technical committees in orange that are actually, deal with concrete. I'm not going to name them all, but, like T4 construction, T10 concrete design. So I think you can all read them. Okay. So each state DOT can have up to 3 members on COBS. So I kind of, as an example, showed California. We have 3 members, and then each member can be on 3 technical teams. So, and 1 member from each state DOT is designated as the voting member for their state. And I am currently the voting member for the state of California. And then all the voting members comprise the COBS full committee. So it's the full committee that will vote on the final ballot items. So going back to the technical committees, they're responsible for developing or updating AASHTO specifications and other publications through the ballot item process. Currently, COBS is responsible for, I think, about 35 publications. Technical committees meet at least once a year during the COBS annual meeting, and typically hold mid-year meetings in January prior to submitting their draft ballot items. They may meet at other times during the year depending on how active the committee is, and then how many ballot items they might have. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the annual meeting. The annual meeting, well, actually I'm going to skip that. So during the annual meeting, the technical committees will vote on the final ballot items they want to move forward to the COBS full committee. And the full committee will then vote on each of these ballot items. So you can see it goes from the technical committee to the full committee and then on to publishing. And one of our new publications that we're really working hard on, Elmer, he's been asking me about, is the Guidelines for Performance-Based Seismic Design of Highway Bridges. Okay, so the annual meeting is typically held in May or June, and this year it's going to be held in May in Kansas City, Missouri. There are 4 sessions of technical committee meetings over 2 days. So, and it's in these technical committees that they will vote on their final ballot items. There's also a closed session for state DOT members, FHWA, and AASHTO. And it's during the general session where they have ballot item voting by the full committee. So that's what I will be involved in, the final ballot item voting. And then at the very end of the annual meeting is the executive committee meeting. Okay, so this is where I said I wanted to go back to earlier. So I wanted to highlight T11 research. This committee does not develop ballot items, but instead votes on proposed NCHRP research by the technical committees. So each one of these technical committees can propose research that they would like done. And the recommendations from T11 will then move on to the executive committee for voting. Okay, and so going back to the AASHTO committee structure, the Research and Innovation Committee is one of the special committees and consists of a voting member from each state DOT. So you can see with the arrow there. So within Caltrans, we have a voting member actually on the Research and Innovation Committee. And the Committee on Bridges and Structures will submit their research proposals to this committee to be voted on. And this committee votes on the proposed research from all the committees within AASHTO and will determine which research will be funded. So you can see all the different groups that can propose research. So Committee on Bridges and Structures is actually kind of competing with everybody to get their research proposals through. In my arduous way, here we go. Okay, and that concludes that concludes my presentation. Yeah, thank you. And if you have any questions, we can answer them at the end of the panel presentations. And I'm going to give it back to Elmer.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ruth. So I'll solicit some questions for Ruth now, but we certainly have opportunity at the end. We'll have short presentations like this. So, any questions now? I forgot my paper.
Oh, the question I had was in terms of the structure of the committee. How many members, is there a maximum or minimum of how many members can be on any committee? And focus point, if you're on a seismic committee and say in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, doesn't need necessarily have somebody on that committee. There's not a requirement to have a maximum number from states that may not have as much of a seismic requirement for bridge, is there? Or not? I mean, it's...
You know, okay. Oh, here.
Structure-wise, in terms of because in a lot of the ACI things, there's certain structures of the committee you have to have certain members in industry, in manufacturing, and academia to make a consensus on a document. I don't know the consensus for seismic design may not need to be in every state necessarily, but there's certainly bridge construction in every state needs to have somebody on a committee, but necessarily not just focused on seismic. That's my point of the question.
Okay, so because you can only have, like each state, California can only have you can only be on 3 technical committees. Just the way it works out, I think the committees are maybe from 8 to 12 or 8 to 15, depending on the popularity. So for the seismic committee, I think, I don't even know how many, 9 or 10. And typically, they're all seismic states. Right. We do have Massachusetts on it. No one's really knows why.
Oh, jeez.
So, but the interesting thing is your question is, so when we come up with a ballot item on seismic, then it goes to the full committee. So all, I think 52 members actually vote. So last year we got a bunch of ballot items through. I called it smoke and mirrors because we got it through. But yeah, so it is like, so when you're talking about construction, which is T4, it may not have a representative from every state, but every state has the opportunity to vote on it.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
And to be clear, the member of every technical committee is also a DOT employee.
Yeah.
So good point is that there is no representative from academia or industry.
Right, it's a different structure. I just wanted to clarify that structure and numbers.